Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every person's life when the world seems to stand still, when the noise fades, the distractions vanish, and all that's left is you standing at the crossroads of who you are and who you were meant to be. And in that moment, there's only one question that matters. Do you believe in yourself? Because here's the truth. No one else's belief will ever be enough. Not your parents, not your friends, not your teachers, not some stranger's applause. If you don't have faith in your own ability, in your own vision, in your own strength, then you're already defeated before the battle even begins. Life doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your fears. It doesn't care about your past. Life only responds to one thing, action, and action comes from belief. You have to believe in yourself so deeply that even when the whole world says no, your soul still whispers yes. Look, I'm not here to tell you it's going to be easy. It's not. If it were easy, everyone would do it. But greatness isn't for everyone. It's for the ones who are willing to fall, scrape their knees, bleed a little, and still get back up. It's for the ones who understand that failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of it. Every stumble, every setback, every disappointment is just another lesson, another step toward where you're supposed to be. You ever watch a baby learning to walk? They don't just stand up one day and sprint across the room. No, they fall over and over again, but they don't lie there and say, well, I guess walking isn't for me. They get back up, they try again and again and again, until one day they're running. That's you. Right now, you're learning to walk in whatever it is you're called to do, and yet you might fall. You might fall 100 times, but the only way you fail is if you stay down. Now, let me ask you something. What's the alternative? To live a life of quiet regret. To wake up at 60 years old wondering, what if I had just believed in myself a little more? Nah, that's not an option. You don't get a second chance at this life. This is it. This is your moment, and don't you dare let fear hold you back. Fear is a liar. It tells you that you're not ready, that you're not good enough, that you should wait for the perfect time. But let me tell you something. The perfect time doesn't exist. There will always be a reason to hesitate, always an excuse to delay. But champions don't wait for perfect conditions. They create them. You want to know the secret. The people who make it aren't the smartest, the strongest, or the most talented. They're the ones who refuse to quit, the ones who keep going when everyone else walks away, the ones who believe in themselves even when no one else does. So what's stopping you? Is it doubt? Doubt is just a test of your commitment. Is it failure? Failure is just feedback. Is it fear? Fear is just a sign that you're about to do something worth doing. You were born for a reason. There's a fire inside you that the world needs, but it's up to you to fan those flames. No one else can do it for you, so stand up right now, look in the mirror and say, I believe in me. Say it until you mean it. Say it until your bones shake with conviction. Say it until the doubt has no choice but to leave. Because when you truly believe in yourself, the universe starts rearranging itself to meet you halfway. Doors open, opportunities appear, people show up. But none of that happens until you take that first step. So take it today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today, the world is waiting for you, but first, you've got to believe. Let me tell you something about self-belief. It's not some soft, optional philosophy you can take or leave. It's the bedrock, the foundation, the unshakable core that everything else in your life is built upon. Without it, you're building on sand, and the first storm that comes along will wash it all away. You ever notice how the world has a way of testing you? How it throws obstacles in your path just to see if you're serious? That's not an accident. That's life asking you, how bad do you want it? And if you don't believe in yourself, truly, deeply, unshakably, then the answer doesn't matter. Because doubt will creep in, fear will whisper, and before you know it, you'll talk yourself out of your own dreams. But here's the thing. Nobody is born with unbreakable confidence. It's not something you're given. It's something you build brick by brick, decision by decision, every time you choose courage over comfort, every time you stand up after a fall, every time you silence that voice in your head that says you can't. You're laying another stone in the foundation of your belief. You think the great ones never doubted themselves. You think they woke up every morning brimming with certainty. No, they had the same fears, the same insecurities, the same moments of weakness. The difference: they didn't let those moments define them. They didn't hand the keys to their future over to doubt. They looked it in the eye and said, "Not today." And that's the choice you have to make every single day, because the world doesn't stop coming at you. There will always be another reason to hesitate, another excuse to play small, another opportunity to second guess yourself. But the moment you do, you've already lost. Self-belief isn't about arrogance. It's not about pretending you have all the answers. It's about trusting yourself enough to figure it out as you go. It's about knowing, deep in your bones, that you have what it takes to handle whatever comes your way. And let me be clear, this isn't some feel-good pep talk. This is survival, because the alternative, a life of quiet desperation, a life of what if, a life spent watching others live the dreams you were too afraid to chase. You want to know what's worse than failing? Never trying, never knowing what you could have been, never giving yourself the chance to rise. So how do you build this unshakable belief? You start by proving it to yourself. Every small victory, every step forward, every time you push through when it would have been easier to quit. That's money in the bank. That's evidence you can point to the next time doubt comes knocking. And it will come knocking, but you'll be ready because you've done the work, you've put in the reps. You've stared down the impossible and said, "Watch me." That's the power of self-belief. It turns obstacles into opportunities. It turns fear into fuel. It turns dreams into destiny, but it starts with you. Right here, right now. No one else can give it to you. No one else can take it away. It's yours now. What are you going to do with it? Failure isn't the monster under your bed. It's the mentor you never asked for but desperately needed. It's the brutal, unflinching teacher that doesn't care about your feelings, only your growth. You want to know the real difference between those who make it and those who don't? It's not talent. It's not luck. It's their relationship with failure. The great ones don't avoid it. They lean into it. They dissect it. They let it carve them into something stronger. Think about the first time you fell off a bike. What happened you got back on? Why? Because falling wasn't the end, it was part of learning. Somewhere along the way we lose that. We start treating failure like a verdict instead of feedback. We let it define us instead of refine us. But here's the truth. Every master was once a disaster. Every expert was once clueless. The Wright brothers didn't invent flight on their first try. They crashed over and over until the sky had no choice but to surrender to them. Let's get raw for a second. That rejection letter, that botched presentation, that business that didn't take off, those aren't tombstones. They're stepping stones. The most successful people you admire have a graveyard of failures you'll never see. The difference is they didn't bury themselves with them. They mined those failures for gold. Lessons about what not to do next time, about how to pivot, about where their blind spots were. Here's what failure really is. It's life's way of stripping away what doesn't work so you can double down on what does. It burns away the superficial and leaves only what's essential. When you've been through the fire, you come out with a clarity you couldn't have bought any other way. That's why the most dangerous person in any room isn't the one who's never failed. It's the one who's been through hell and kept moving. Consider this. What if your biggest failures aren't setbacks but setups? What if they're positioning you for something greater than you originally imagined? The closed doors, the missed opportunities, the plans that blew up in your face. They might be forcing you to develop skills, resilience, and creativity you'd never have gained otherwise. The person you become in the process of overcoming failure is infinitely more valuable than the version of you that never had to struggle. Now let's talk about fear of failure, that paralyzing dread that keeps people stuck in mediocrity. It's not failure itself that destroys dreams, it's the anticipation of it, the endless what-ifs that play like a horror movie in your mind. But here's the secret. The monster loses its power the moment you walk toward it. The first time you fail and realize you didn't die, didn't disappear, didn't lose your worth, that's when everything changes. You develop a sort of immunity to the fear, And that's when you become dangerous in the best possible way. Look at any innovation, any breakthrough, any legacy worth remembering. They're all built on a pile of failures. Edison's 10-0, 0 attempts before the light bulb. Michael Jordan getting cut from his high school team. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter manuscript rejected by 12 publishers. These aren't feel-good stories. They're blueprints. They prove that failure isn't just part of the journey. It's often the most important part. So the next time you stumble, ask yourself, what is this here to teach me? Where do I need to adjust? How can this make me better? That's how you turn setbacks into comebacks. That's how you develop the kind of resilience that can't be faked or bought. Because in the end, failure isn't the opposite of success, it's the tuition you pay for it. And those who understand that, they're the ones who change the game. Fear doesn't knock, it kicks down the door of your mind and makes itself at home. It pours itself a drink, puts its feet up on your dreams, and starts whispering in your ear like it's got your best interests at heart. But let's be clear, fear is a con artist, a manipulator, the world's oldest scam. It dresses up as protection when it's really prison. It masquerades as wisdom when it's really cowardice in disguise. And if you listen to it long enough, you'll find yourself living a life so small, so safe, so devoid of meaning that one day you'll wake up and wonder where the hell your courage went. Think about the last time fear stopped you. That opportunity you didn't take, that conversation you didn't have, that leap you didn't make. What exactly were you afraid of? Discomfort, rejection, the unknown. Here's the brutal truth. Fear's predictions are almost always wrong. It tells you the plane will crash when statistically you're more likely to get struck by lightning. It convinces you the audience will laugh when in reality they're rooting for you. It screams that failure will destroy you when in truth you've survived every bad day so far. Fear doesn't know the future. It's just a trauma response from your ancestors who had to run from saber-toothed tigers. But last I checked, there aren't any tigers in the boardroom. The most dangerous thing about fear isn't even the paralysis it causes. It's the way it impersonates logic. It sounds so reasonable when it says, wait until you're more prepared, or this isn't the right time, or the classic, what will people think? But strip away the polished delivery and it's all the same toxic lie, you're not enough, not smart enough, not ready enough, not worthy enough. And if you buy that story, you'll spend your life waiting for a permission slip that was never coming. Here's what fear doesn't want you to know. The magic happens outside your comfort zone. Every breakthrough, every transformation, every story worth telling begins where fear tries to stop you. That pit in your stomach before you take the stage, that's not a warning, it's an invitation. The shaky hands before you hit send on your big idea. That's not weakness. That's the feeling of growth happening in real time. Fear isn't a stop sign. It's a signpost pointing you toward what matters most. Let's talk about courage for a second. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision that something else is more important. The mother who runs into a burning building isn't fearless. She's just decided her child matters more than her terror. The entrepreneur who risks it all isn't immune to doubt. They're just more committed to their vision than to playing it safe. That's the secret. You don't have to get rid of fear. You just have to get clear on what you want more than you want to feel safe. Now pay attention to this fear grows in the dark. The more you avoid what scares you, the bigger it becomes. But the moment you shine a light on it, the moment you walk toward it, something miraculous happens. It shrinks. Take public speaking. The first time, your knees might shake. The 10th time, you'll still feel butterflies. But you'll know they can fly in formation. That's how you build courage, not by waiting for fear to disappear, but by acting despite it. Consider this. Right now, fear is stealing from you. It's stealing opportunities, experiences, relationships, growth. It's robbing you of the person you could become, and the only way to stop the theft is to confront the thief. When fear whispers you'll embarrass yourself, you answer, then I'll be embarrassed, and survive. When it hisses you might fail, you fire back, then I'll learn something. You don't argue with fear, You outmaneuver it by taking action. The most liberated people alive aren't those without fear. They're the ones who have made peace with it. They understand that fear means you're about to do something brave. They've learned to interpret the adrenaline not as danger, but as excitement. They know that on the other side of fear is always a gift, even if it's just the gift of knowing you didn't let it stop you. So the next time fear shows up uninvited, greet it by name. Say, "Ah, there you are. That means this matters." Then do it anyway, because in the end, we don't regret the risks we took that didn't work out. We regret the chances we didn't take at all. The dreams we left dormant, the versions of ourselves we never became because we listened to the liar instead of our own potential. Your fear will always be there, but so will you. Stronger, wiser, and more alive every time you refuse to let it call the shots. You don't get a rehearsal, no do-overs, no second takes, this right here. Your breath, your heartbeat, this exact moment, is the only one you're guaranteed. The clock is ticking whether you're paying attention or not, and every second you spend hesitating, doubting, or playing small is a piece of your life you'll never get back. One day, you'll wake up and realize the chances you didn't take didn't disappear. They just became someone else's reality. The dreams you didn't chase didn't vanish. They just became the ghost that haunts your quietest moments. That's the tragedy of life, not that it ends, but that we so often wait to really live until it's too late to do anything about it. Think about the last time you told yourself, someday I'll start that business, someday I'll take that trip, someday I'll tell them how I really feel. Here's the hard truth, someday is a myth. It's the lie we tell ourselves to avoid the discomfort of today. But the future isn't some distant land where you'll magically become braver, smarter, or more ready. It's built by what you do right now. Every great empire, every legacy, every life worth remembering was built on a series of todays strung together by someone who refused to wait for permission from the universe. Let's talk about time, the great equalizer. It doesn't care about your excuses, doesn't care about your fears, doesn't care if you're not ready yet. It moves forward with or without you, and while you're sitting there waiting for the perfect conditions, the perfect plan, the perfect sign from the heavens, your competition isn't waiting. The love of your life isn't waiting. The world sure as hell isn't waiting. The only thing that happens when you postpone your life is that you run out of runway. You want to know what's more painful than failure. Regret, that gnawing, relentless ache of what if, that follows you around like a shadow, the kind that keeps you up at night wondering who you could have been if you just had the guts to go for it. Failure stings, but it fades. Regret, that sticks to your bones. It's the story you'll tell yourself when you're old and tired, the one that starts with "if only I had." Don't let that be your story. Here's the brutal math of existence. You have roughly 0 weeks on this planet if you're lucky, 4,000 weeks. How many have you already spent waiting to feel ready? How many have you wasted listening to the wrong voices, including your own doubts? The clock isn't just ticking. It's screaming at you to move, to act, to stop treating your life like it's a dress rehearsal for some future version of yourself that may never arrive. Look at the people who leave this world with no unfinished business. The ones who go out with their boots on, with stories spilling out of them, with a life so fully lived that death itself seems like just another adventure. What do they have in common? They understood this wasn't a practice round. They knew the price of hesitation. They recognized that opportunities don't circle back like some polite waiter. They vanish like smoke, and all you're left with is the memory of how close you came to grabbing them.